Hey folks, welcome to the first ever pilot episode of the Wacky Tabacky Walk. I'm Wacky Tabacky. My name is Aaron Tabackman. I'm going to start a show on YouTube where I take my guests around New York City and show them all which is worth showing and then learning a little bit about them. That might be actors, comics, tour guides themselves perhaps, like myself, or even everyday New Yorkers and visitors to the city. And we're going to learn a little bit more about them and we're going to show them around. My first guest is a friend of mine. He's a comic from Pennsylvania. His name is Robert Punchur.
Hi.
Robert.
Aaron, good to see you, my friend.
Welcome. Welcome to the first ever Wacky Tabacky Walk. Are you ready for your walk?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Pleasure to be here.
You're quite welcome, my friend. And I couldn't think of a better person to have. Rob, you're a comedian. You're from Butler, Pennsylvania.
Yes, sir.
You've been to New York for a while.
10 years. 10 years in the city now. Yeah,
10 years.
A decade.
Wow. And you're about to do your own comedy special called Tenure.
10 years to mark 10 years, huh?
Well, yeah, hey, I like that.
Okay.
We'll talk about that a little later, but for now, I go. And so this is the Winter Garden Theater. You can see Hugh Jackman's in a play right now. But this theater actually dates back many, many years. This is where Barbra Streisand performed her show Funny Girl. This is where Cats performed. You know it. The Andrew Lloyd Webber classic Cats ran for many, many years at the Winter Garden. Mamma Mia ran here for many years. But originally, this was a horse stable owned by the Vanderbilt family. And it was called the American Horse Exchange. And they actually bought and sold horses when this neighborhood was not even called Times Square. It was known as Longacre Square.
Oh, I did not know. Longacre Square. Yeah. Okay.
How did you get started in comedy?
I did it as a writing exercise initially. As I came out here to say politics, philosophy, and economics and started doing open mics as just an exercise in writing and loved it. Did the Pit. Used to have one Tuesday nights at 11 o'clock.
The People's Improv Theater.
Yes,
Very
sir.
familiar.
That's the one, And it was a blast, man. I would do like this 2-minute set. They had a bucket with like everybody's names in it. You each just pull out the name and go with that ordering of it. So I went up like midway through the night. Was able to just sit there and be nervous for most of it as it came up and rushed through my set whenever I was up there. I think I thought I had 5 minutes and probably rambled the whole thing out in like 90 seconds, but I got a couple laughs, which was really all I needed after the first one to be like, oh, I can actually do something with this.
And you were hooked.
I was hooked.
Now, your special is 10 years, your 10-year anniversary in comedy. You're going to talk a lot about your biography, your childhood in Butler, Pennsylvania, how you moved to New York. What was life like in Butler for you?
I liked life in Butler, man. I had fun. I was really serious into wrestling, into writing, studying journalism. Whenever I was in high school, I was one of the editors on the school paper and started like a student magazine. Did the morning announcements. We'd make like little sketch comedy videos and kind of like play an anchorman on there. It was one of the first times that I kind of had the opportunity of audience just of my high school class that I could get on TV and like mess around with that and make people laugh during the morning. Like, oh, this is fun. That's really what I would like to do. So whenever I moved out to New York, it was to pursue journalism, but I always had in the back of my mind, oh, I want to try comedy while I'm out here too. And whenever I did those first couple at the Pit and started like clicking, I was like, oh, I'm sticking with this.
Nice.
But yeah, Butler was a lot of writing, a lot of wrestling training. We'd go out and steal street signs. Was how
I think there's something to be said for like a comic or whatever, a person coming from Middle America, moving to a place like New York or LA, and talking about their experience back home, where they're from. So, M&M store, are you a fan?
I have.
Guys, hop on. Let's go.
That's okay.
Thank you.
We're good.
That was another when I first moved out to the city. This M&M store had peanut M&Ms in here, and I couldn't. I came out with $126 cash to my name to last me from like the fall semester through to my Christmas break. So I learned in this store, you can sneak into the M&M store, you can fill up on the second floor and just walk out with your bag of M&Ms instead of paying $20-some for it. So that was my, that was one of my hustles that I did when I first moved to the
Look
city.
at that.
Yeah.
What was your first Broadway show when you first arrived here? Do you remember what show you saw first?
I think I saw Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, of course, classic.
Yeah.
Longest running Broadway show in history. It's been running since 1988. We get the walk sign. So I've met your father. I haven't met your mom, but do you think you get a lot of your comedy chops from your parents? And if so, which one more than the other?
Yeah, I think it's a blend. I think it's a blend of the two. My mom and my dad are pretty much like polar opposites. So I think there's a comedy in and of that, where she is one of the just sweetest, most kind-hearted, gentle people that you will ever meet. And then my dad, not that he's not sweet, but he likes to fuck with people a bit. So I get the two of them that can kind of like intertwine and interblend.
Yeah, when I met your dad, I couldn't believe he was your dad. He's like, he just doesn't look necessarily like you per se, but at first glance.
He's got all the tats now.
Yeah.
I've grown my hair out. It matches the biker cut that he's had too.
Right.
But
certainly you'll talk about him on your special.
Oh yeah, we do a chunk about biker dad in there.
Yeah, you're talking about Butler.
The material for it.
Hang on, before we go any further, I just want to show you this is Hurley's.
Empire Tonight, Amelia's.
Hurley's actually used to be at Rockefeller Center.
Oh yeah?
And there's an interesting story. The Magnolia Bakery is there today. But when Rockefeller Center was built in the 1930s, it was like a clear 4-block by 1 Avenue plan from 47th to like 52nd and from 5th Avenue to 6th Avenue. But the Hurley's Saloon and the corner of 49th and 6th would not sell it to the Rockefeller family. They refused to. And so they simply built Rockefeller Center around Hurley's Saloon. And that's why there's a little indentation back on 49th. And that was Hurley's Saloon. And finally they left a few years ago and they moved here into the theater district, and now there's a Magnolia Bakery there.
That's really interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah,
that's probably that first or second year of living out here, I was doing flyering for Hurley's. It's Empire Tonight, Amelia's company. They had a deal with them where we just give out like free drink tickets. My buddy Dylan had just moved out to the city. We're both trying to do stand-up together, and he hated doing it because it'd be out and it'd be cold. We'd have to pass these things out. So I'm like, dude, I'll come down do it with you. It'll be a ton of fun. And then we would like put him on my shoulders and I like spin in a circle and toss him out like a helicopter propeller at people, and we'd play all these games with each other, just like try to sneak it in her bag, try put it in this guy's pocket, and lay on the ground and pass him out with my feet, like whatever we could do to get each other.
This is Worldwide Plaza. This was the site of the 3rd Madison Square Garden. So Madison Square Garden, there's been 4 of them. The first one started down on Madison Square, 25th and Madison Avenue. And then the second one was there, and the third one came up here in about 1926 to this location. And this is where, like, they had hockey and basketball, probably professional wrestling, boxing, which was huge. And then this was the theater district, so it made kind of sense for the garden to be up here. They had the circus, hockey, and the Knicks, and college basketball as well. And that was here until about 1968, 69. And that's when they moved to the present location.
Interesting. Do you know what, do they still have like an arena space in there now?
Here? No, lawyers.
It looks like a bank.
Now it's lawyers.
Lawyers? Okay.
Yeah. See, Kravitz, Swain, and Moore. That's a prominent law firm.
They've had like some kind of huge courtroom in there or something.
The courts. But what's interesting is if you go underneath the underground, they have a tribute to Madison Square Garden on the underground, the subway.
With this 50th Street stop?
Yeah, this 50th Street stop on the ACE.
I've noticed that before.
Yep.
Cool.
And they also have a timeline about what this area has been used for centuries. So it's interesting, little nuggets of information you find out about New York.
Yeah, I've seek to shelter from the rain under that thing plenty of times, so good to know the piece of history now.
So, yeah, so we're right now on the western edge of the theater district. Across the street's Hell's Kitchen. You ever perform in Hell's Kitchen?
Once or twice, yeah.
Do you have, there's a lot of actually restaurants and bars here. Do you have a favorite restaurant in New York?
In New York, it's probably up in Harlem. Red Rooster's become the go-to spot.
Oh, okay. And that's where you live. You live in Harlem.
Yeah.
Great. One of my favorite neighborhoods in New York City. And do you have a favorite bar?
I don't know if I do. I've hosted trivia at a bunch of different bars. Some of those I have just like the personal fondness and connection to. Bureaucracy out in Long Island City is a really cool spot.
Yeah, that's where I live.
Yeah.
That's a great bar. A lot of beers on tap. I like the whole micro brew movement, the whole craft beer thing. Big fan of that.
Food is awesome there too.
So what can, if someone sees your show at the Broadway Comedy Club, what can an audience member expect to hear or see or smell at a Robert Punchur comedy show?
Hopefully we're not smelling anything too foul. We try not to hear anything too foul either. I try to keep it silly and light and fun. This one's really for the 10-year special, 10 years worth of jokey jokes. So it's going to have a lot of my narrative there of starting out as a waiter at the club and moving through learning the city and then learning how to perform. And
so you're bringing back some jokes from your older sets.
Oh yeah, there's stuff from I've got jokes in there as whenever I was in like third grade that are still fun to pull up on stage and see how people respond to them.
Cool. So expect to be entertained, folks. November 30th. What time?
Yes, sir. 7 p.m. November 30th.
7 p.m. at the Broadway Comedy Club. How can people get tickets?
Verygoodcomedyshow.com.
Very Good Comedy Show. Oh yeah, I want to know about that. Now you have a partnership with filmmaker and comic Eric Grooms. You co-founded this interesting comedy organization called Very Good Comedy.
Okay.
Can you tell me a little bit how Very Good Comedy came about and what you guys actually do?
Yes, the Very Good Comedy Show started to combat the bringer model in the city, the dreaded bringer model, which is or was an unnecessary, unfortunate evil for a lot of comics that they would do these shows where the producer would keep all of the money from it and the comics would perform and invite out their audience members. They'd have to invite out their audience members and then the producer would keep all of the fun. So what we wanted to do with Very Good was set up more as an audience share situation where it's all commission based. We still ask everybody to help invite out folks for the show.
Right.
And then once they're there, we actually pay a 50% commission of any of the ticket prices brought in for it.
Right. And so, like, you seem to have like a full roster of comics, or like that kind of repeatedly.
There's a ton of guys that we love working with in the city, and we're always rotating through, and we're able to do shows here in Pittsburgh, Ohio. We've taken it out to Chicago a couple times.
Nice. And so this will be, will Tenure be part of the Very Good Comedy umbrella?
This is, yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be our first time actually producing a full stand-up special with it.
One more time, no Tenure. Robert Punchur's comedy special will be Tuesday, November 30th, 7 p.m. at the Broadway Comedy Club.
Yes, sir.
At 314 West 53rd Street in Hell's Kitchen.
There you go.
For tickets, go to verygoodcomedy.com. Robert, I want to thank you for being the first guest on the Wacky Tabacky Walk.
Thank you.
And I wish you best of luck on your comedy special and all the other great shows that you do in the future.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thanks a lot, folks. Thanks to Robert Punchur. Have a great night.